The appointed time has arrived, and I will call this meeting of the Room Tax Commission to order. But for the moment, I'm just going to sit a little bit and wait if we aren't joined by one or another of our absent members.
Margaret she never responded to my meeting request.
Well, okay, I'm not seeing any new cars coming up to park outside, so we do have a quorum of the commission in attendance here, so we can go on with our meeting and we can vote accordingly. Item number 1 on the agenda is discussion and possible action on approving minutes of our previous meeting, which was November 30 of 2021. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second. Any concerns on the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. Number 2, discussion and possible action regarding year-end reporting. Director Groh?
Yep, in your, excuse me, my acid reflux kicks in this time of day, and so sometimes it bugs my throat. So you have a report of the activity in 2021. We had a carryover of 153,176. Our total room tax revenues for 2021, net of what the hotels could retain, was 807,435. The city retains 444,133 to use for city purposes and for our continuing appropriation group. The Room Tax Commission awarded the following payments totaling $213,770. Some of those have not been drawn yet from the events, and those show up as outstanding, which led to a balance outstanding of $302. And the request before you today total $90,595, which would leave you $212,000.
Thank you. Any comments from the commission? And welcome. Yeah.
You gonna make it?
Yeah, just take a moment, it's okay, we're in no rush. All right, next would be looking at the requests that were submitted, and, you know, I, for one, did not fill out the scoring thing because of looking at our available monies and the total of requests involved. It didn't seem to be a question of competition per se, so I just forewent that thing. But anybody else that did, I appreciate your efforts and whatnot. Director Groh, do you have any report on that?
Yes, so we did have a few people rank, and based on the rankings, Outrageous Weekend had the most points, followed by the Hmong Festival, followed by the Balloon Rally. Blues Fest came in next, and, you know, Iron Bull was 5th, followed by Performing Arts, then Wings Over Wausau, Wausau Festival of Arts, Beer and Bacon, and finally the Wausau Whitewater.
Thank you. Did anybody, and Director included, anybody see anything in the submissions that would indicate that there was any of these requests that weren't, you know, up to snuff in terms of requirements?
No, I would say the only, you know, we have identified this based on the state statutes, is marketing. Probably the most unusual marketing one was related to the balloon rally, because they are using this for, and, you know, they are both here to speak on it, but the log rolling competition is to, you know, tape that, and that would be then televised, you know, all over. And so it is, you know, a form of marketing for the following year. So I guess that's the only unusual situation.
Well, I mean, the main thing is that the monies would be used specifically to pay for whatever form of marketing it is.
Correct.
So is anybody here from that event would like to come forward and speak? Sure, come on up. Just let us know your name for the record.
Hi, we're Steve and Nancy Waller from the Taste and Glow Balloon Fest.
Thank you.
Yep, so the marketing request that we did was we're having a pro log rolling competition. So this is actually sanctioned by their group. It actually cost us $15,000 to do the production of the show. It's a 1-hour show. Last time they did this competition, it was aired 12 times on Fox Sports. So it hit North Dakota, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Northern Illinois. The nice thing about this is we can position signs so that when they're doing production on the athletes, you can see the signs behind it. We also are going to be logoing their competition shirts up, of course. So it's going to be like coming to you from Wausau. We have the Crick Log Rolling, Pro Log Rolling competition. So these people are going to be coming from all over. I mean, we have many, many booked rooms right now. The Fairfield is full, the Marriott's filling up, and the Hilton is also, but that's just the ones I know about. The athletes, they're going to be booking rooms because they're coming from all over the country. It actually has garnered us 2 national sponsors that found us as a result of the Balloon Fest as well as this. I didn't call them, they called me. I haven't closed a deal on them, so I don't want to tell you who they are, but you'll know when they do come, because I'm pretty sure they're both going to be, they're going to be sponsoring the event, which is nice because we are on the map. So they're finding us, I'm not finding them.
Very good. Any questions from the commission? Go ahead.
Just a comment, you know, our goal, I guess, through all of this, whether it's marketing and promotions or event sponsorship, is to generate additional room nights, and it certainly seems like this would. I mean, obviously, it's one of our larger events, and, you know, it's been able to expand and get a little bigger because it's got some space to expand into. And we, a couple years ago, changed our funding rules to allow ourselves to fund things outside the city boundary proper. That benefits our hotel owners, though. So, you know, I can certainly see that request. I think that, you know, that would be something to try this year. And, you know, we also look for, you know, some creativity in what we fund. So, you know, I don't want to get into the niche that, you know, we are with room tax annually the sponsor of the same type of activity, but activities within that event that may be new or unique or fresh, I certainly could see that happening. I mean, obviously, a competition of this type has not come before. And so that may draw a different audience than the folks who wanted to come out and see the Balloon Fest. So it makes some sense.
And part of why we focused on that is because we were awarded a GEM grant from the state. So I already have like $80,000 to spend on advertising. I mean, it's ridiculous. I get $30,000 from the radio station, the grant is over $30,000, and then all the in-kind with TV and some digital in-kind, it's like, how much more can you spend on the same thing? So I was trying to think of something unique that we do need, because I do see a lot of value in this program. She told me that typically this pro log rolling airs after a Packer game or after a Brewer game. It would actually be in the fall. So it's not that far out, believe it or not. So that's why we thought this was a good fit all around. We changed our logo.
Our new logo does have the Wausau name on it,
Yes.
so forth, so.
Right, partly because even in the town of Stettin, they didn't like it being called Marathon. They want, because they're Wausau. They may not be in the city, but they're Wausau. So we did lots of things to make sure that we're promoting the city also.
So in a way, the monies that we're talking about awarding you might be more used for promoting the event post-event. Am I right?
It could be both, but yeah, I mean, it is a production company that is going to create this show
Yeah.
at the event, yes.
I just want to make sure you really need our money.
We need your money, because otherwise, I don't know if we would do the show, to be
Okay.
honest. It's a lot of money, and we do have to fork out some of
Well,
it
that
ourselves.
kind of but-for is something that is important when we're considering stuff like this. So,
Yeah.
And I have just
Rasmussen.
one follow-up comment, and I think it's important that in the promotions, that it be recognized clearly in the public that the city of Wausau is partnering with Taste and Glow. Last year, when the event moved to a new location, there was a monumental amount of criticism of the city of Wausau for either, obviously there was some misinformation out there that the city, ruined the event, made the event move. There was, all sorts of negative city of Wausau things were going on out there. And so, and last year we gave money to it as well. So I
Right.
think that, obviously a smaller amount, but I think that, it needs to be clear in all of the marketing and promotion, and that the communication on the public-facing end is clear that this is still a partnership between Taste and Glow and the city of Wausau, regardless of what field it's happening in. So,
Well, even last year, I mean, we did several Facebook posts, and a lot of our posts get viewed by 50,000 people. It's insane. Saying that we did partner with the city of Wausau as well as Wausau Events at that time. But we can't control people.
right,
so-
no, I know, and the event obviously now has the potential to get bigger and better. It's got more landmass, and obviously at some point it probably would have outgrown the downtown airport. So, I think that, it's maybe a win-win,
I
that
think
it's got
so.
some room to breathe out there, and that we all can still partner on it. But I think it's important that we're clear in the communication that there is not animosity in any way between the city and the event, so.
Well, and that's part of why we approached you last year, is we get tired of hearing it on many levels.
Right.
And we wanted that partnership, financially and emotionally, so that people would just stop. We just wanted them to come out, have a good time, and just be happy.
Right.
And they were.
Yeah.
All right, thank you,
You
appreciate it.
bet. Thank you.
Well, before we go forward, talking about how much to award to whom, I guess one question I would ask the commission is, does anybody here feel that that this 90,000 plus is above any kind of cap that you might be looking to have in place, considering, putting it away for future use for the next awarding period or any of that nature?
I feel like this is one of the first, this summer will probably be a test of, at least somewhat of a return to normalcy. Last year we did get events back, but we got them back in, somewhat of a limited scope. So, I think that it's great that we have this number of requests, and that a lot of events that we know struggled, during the pandemic are able to still carry on and request funding. I don't see any of the requests as excessive, really, and I think that, we are in a really good position as far as funds to allocate versus our requests. We're going to still have enough to run a second cycle
Yeah.
this year. So none of them seemed unreasonable to me. I was excited to see that if we chose to, that we had the funding to perhaps fund all the requests.
Okay, well, before we finish our discussion about the monies, I just want to, this will be my last appearance on this commission, as I will be leaving council. And so I just want to leave one kind of tickler in everybody's brains, both on the commission and people that are requesting. It's always kind of seemed to me that I wanted to nurture growth in events, more events, and a greater diversity of events. And, that is happening, but maybe not at the rate that I would like really to see. Going forward, I'm seeing some great success on the part of events being able to garner sponsorship, bring in state funding, find sponsors, really building their war chest to where, our, possible 10,000 or 9,000, whatever, isn't a do or die situation. And I would like to sort of encourage developers that, have established, signature events in town, find ways to rely a bit less and a bit less going over time on this source of funding, because I want to turn around and be able to have that resource for, the new up-and-comers that have a really great idea and are really trying to get something rolling. And 10,000 to them could mean the world. So just going forward, I hope that isn't lost on everybody's minds. It's not to take this this is just a foregone conclusion, we're going to get 10,000 just like always. Because I don't really welcome that mindset. I find it kind of antithetical to what we want to do in terms of growth. So there you go. Anything else from the commission?
Are we going one by one? Or are you looking to do a?
I would welcome a blanket approval if anybody feels that they would like to do that.
I do have. I mean, in reviewing the applications, not echoing some of your statements, Tom, but I think that yeah, there's some things that I'd like to discuss through those. I think that sometimes we wind up using this as an opportunity to educate, amongst each other, current applicants, maybe future applicants. And I think it touches on a little bit about what you've alluded to, because we do have a lot of perennial events here that, it's kind of need that 10, and here's why. So I mean, if we can, I can call out the ones in particular that I have notes on, to lead that conversation.
That would be great. And then, if anybody else had any other comments on other individual events, that would be great. And then maybe we could handle them, those few alone and the rest in a blanket type motion. So, sure, go ahead.
Perfect. So again, this is observation and for the discussion. And the first one is for the Hmong Fest, which is a great cultural event. It is great. It brings a lot of people to our city and market. And, in reviewing this, I see that we have grants other on there. So that's a question for me to Yi. I see that he's on. Yi, what is the grants other?
Thank you, Tim. I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Yeah, you're crystal clear.
Sure. So usually when we put others, that usually means, like, for example, if I may look at applying for funding from the North Central Community Foundation for their community arts grant, potentially could go towards providing funding for the stage or, or the sports authority, so that usually is just more of an open, those are the grants that I'm looking at specifically in this case here as well. And as I said here, we actually just started recently beginning and looking for funding recently here. So that's why we keep that as an open venue for us to be able to contact other grants or other opportunities as well too. Another example would also be would be WACMA as well too, where we can apply for a grant for marketing for dollars if needed be as well. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. And I think one of the things that, going forward, I think we should disclose if there's other municipalities in the game. Looking at, this is a City of Wausau grant. I think if there's other municipalities that have put money in, they'd have similar requests, and that's going to spread the lodging across different municipalities, and that return that's on paper, maybe not be as the term lucrative, but may not be as impactful. So that was a question that I had there. Yeah, and then just, again, observationally on, I feel like I'm not being, I think over time, our community, and this is more of a blanket statement, I guess, on it, but our community is really hesitant because a lot of these events have spawned from quality of life that we all love and appreciate. It's one of the great things about our community in Wausau. And now we are looking to seek funding to help continue to go with that. But we're really hesitant to charge people that aren't from here and or our own community to come and enjoy these. And part of the Hmong Fest is the admissions account for $39,500, and with 6,500 attendees, that's $6 a person to come and enjoy that. Again, great event. The sports purse prize is $20,000, and the registration fees for sports is $3,000. So over time, are there opportunities for these events that take off and go and grow? How do we get them to be self-sustaining? how do we open up these funds to either market it and grow it, or do we transition those funds to something new to bring somebody else new to, on another group into Wausau? Is the educational piece, I don't think that's really a question, it's just more of an observation on the sheet.
If I could add to that, Mr. Zhang, I mean, I think you made mention that your fundraising efforts are kind of like, ramping up here in recent, in the recent past. And, going forward, when we're talking about, next year's request, it would really help us if, many of your established fundraising sources had been talked to much earlier, so you could really look at, what your needs are on the bottom line, what do you have in hand and what is outstanding, and then your request from, from this body might not be, the maximum, it might be a little bit less, which again, might give us more latitude to help others come up with, some new events and whatnot. So that's my feeling. Commissioner Vendia, I mean, do you have any change you want to make to their request?
No, I don't. I think the ask is reasonable. I think my encouragement is as you continue to look at it, how do you market this to a wider audience, and grow it, or kind of wean off of it? I don't think I'm me personally, or the commission can make that judgment. I believe that the ask is needed, but as you look to move forward, just to keep that as a consideration.
Very good. What do you have next on your list?
I think this one's more of a blanket too, but I see a lot of our local TV outlets and city pages showing up as a request for funding. Again, this is to, yes, that's an advertising expense, but it's not something that's going to generate a hotel room. And, at the end of the day, by definition of the statute, that's what it's going to drive. And, definitely people are seeing that. It does encourage people to come here, but I don't think it satisfies that requirement. And maybe you can, again, take a look at how you can go outside of this market by 90, 100, 150, and let's get some people introduced to our great community that maybe don't already know about it.
The same thought kind of, breathed through my brain when going through it, because, I mean, it's maybe those local media expenditures could be taken out of other funding sources, and, the more wide-ranging marketing requests would be reflected, there and what's being requested of the commission.
I had a question for Beer and Bacon.
Okay, let her rip.
Okay, I'm Allie. I'm the Wausau Events Executive Director. Hi, Tim.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. Hey, are we at a saturation point? I mean, does this event sell out, or do we have room to grow?
So this event can definitely grow. For Blues Fest, we normally see about 7,000 on the island. For Beer and Bacon, it's normally around 3. And this is the one event that we didn't hold, one of our main events that we didn't hold last year, that we've gotten a lot of negative feedback for not holding it, where the public is beyond excited to come back out for this event. And this is one that I personally would like to grow. I definitely see the capability and the ability to do that, which is, again, why the marketing dollars would help us, again, reach those people outside of 90 miles who travel. Like, people make it a family weekend, a cousin weekend, what have you, and they come down to Wausau specifically for that event.
I have just a suggestion that occurred to me when going over your event, which I think is maybe a bigger event potentially than maybe people are thinking. I think it could be pretty big.
Yeah.
And one stumbling block I found was how short it is.
Yep.
From 1 to 4 that's hard for me to try and convince somebody to come 100, 120 miles for a 3-hour event.
Yeah, definitely.
When it could be 11 to 5 easily.
Yeah.
Or something along that nature to make it more of an event. Something to really, sink your teeth into. So that just struck me as a opportunity missed at this point.
Yeah, and I would just say with that, like, this is my first full event year, so I think with all of our events, like, I was kind of thrown right into the thick of it last year. So as we're going through the event season, we're constantly making changes, and that's one that I've already looked at as wanting to expand that event. It's just how we do that moving forward. But we have a lot of ideas already for 23, so looking forward to that.
It is so novel in its concept that I do think it could take off. It just
Yeah.
needs to be marketed well.
Yep.
And that's what we're here to talk about, so.
Definitely.
Okay, anything else?
Well, that was, my question was, how close to a saturation point is it? And what could you do with more money? Because I agree, I think it could be growing significantly. And if, if you had means to do so, is it possible?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Sorry, I don't think this is. But I think like for a lot of our events right now that we're looking at is again outside of that 90 miles. We try to focus on that for all of them. But one of the main things this year is that we're doing like targeted digital advertising in other cities and in other locations. So whether it's Green Bay or Milwaukee or Minneapolis or even up north in the Northwoods. So there's a lot of that happening that's super popular right now to help draw people in, and it's easily trackable. And then also, I mean, like TV ads in other markets, we have billboards in other markets, things like that. But obviously all of those cost money as well, so.
Does the commissioner see an opportunity to up our award for this?
Yeah, I think that's where I'm going with. Yeah, to be direct, I would say, if we have an event that's been successful, it's coming back online. Our community has great microbreweries and food in market. What can you do with more money?
Yeah, I mean, more money would definitely allow us to get, more people to that event. I mean, right now, that marketing budget specifically is just the bare minimum in order to get us to kind of where we were pre-pandemic. But more would definitely allow us to grow and reach other markets.
I think that, advertising directed towards Eau Claire, towards Fox River Valley, even, Madison or
Yep.
whatnot. I mean, the kind of aficionados of this sort of thing there would go, hey, let's go meet up in Wausau. That's where my family is, or that's where I went to school, or whatever. So I would, if you want to make a motion to that effect, I would welcome that.
Yeah, I would like to make a motion to increase the award.
Okay?
To what amount, I don't know.
We have available funds, and so we're not really scrimping.
Well, I would say I love you. I mean, again, I think your digital marketing is targeted. It sounds like you're sharing it's a little bit restricted. Do we have another funding cycle before you go to marketing? Do we have a second one planned?
Alder Rasmussen?
Well, I think as a group, that's our next agenda item, just to figure out when we want to open up another one for the second half of '22. But, the point being is I meant to say with regard to Beer and Bacon Fest, I've actually received contact from a couple of citizens who asked me if there would ever be interest from Wausau Events in rolling that event into some type of an Oktoberfest celebration, just because Oktoberfest in other areas is wildly popular. We've got a lot of breweries in our area. We've got, a lot of folks who would love to celebrate that type of an event. I mean, we see that even with some of our local breweries, some of their fests, Bachfest and things like that go over real well. And so I said, well, call Wausau Events and ask them, was my answer.
Sure.
But seeing that, we have the funding available, if we were to fund Beer and Bacon Fest to a higher level this year, I would certainly like to see it maybe as part of the expansion, because this is a fall event, that type of flavor kind of coming together. I certainly could see that we could maybe take that up to 7,500 and, at least add 3,000 to it and see if we could get, a little larger result and a little broader reach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dollar
Yeah.
a person. Get them
And I
there.
will just say too, for the Oktoberfest comment, that there are many talks in the works for 23
Okay.
with many local breweries. So stay tuned, I guess, is my comment.
Excellent.
All right, is that in the form of a motion, Alder?
Sure. At this point, I would make a motion that we fund all of the events as requested, with the exception of Beer and Bacon Fest, which we would increase to 7,500.
And I have a second of that motion.
I will second that. I had one more event that I just want to have a comment on, or clarification, just because of the precedent on it.
Okay. Could we truncate your motion at this point to just deal with the beer and bacon, and then we can, after his, remaining concern, we can, blanket the rest of the requests?
Well, I can amend my motion if we want to change it after, so,
Okay, whichever works best.
The last one's on kayak, and I know we're coming out of a really tough time with that group. And it looks like they've definitely provided some growth in that area, but it's on the website piece. And just looking for some clarification on the cost covering. Was it to build the website? Is it to host the website? What does that look like?
Right.
So this is Brian Scholes with the Wausau Whitewater, Wausau Kayak. So a lot of it has to deal with trying to update the website. Our website is one of those freebies that we were gifted by a volunteer who is learning to build websites, and it kind of looks, acts, and functions like that. So the registration on it's really clunky. Kind of addressing a lot of those items that we get questions on. Hey, I need help registering. I can't make this work. This isn't working from your link from your PayPal to that. What we're trying to do is we're trying to streamline that and just make that portion work better.
Okay. So I don't, something that we haven't done before. So that was the one question. And then the second one, just, the grant request was for 10,000, but the expected cost piece added up to 9,650.
Okay. Yeah, I guess, 10,000 being through the last 4 requests. I think it was at 10,000. We were given maybe 10, 12, 8, 5, and it just has gone down. I guess I think you won't get what you don't ask for. So I mean that's the reasoning behind that.
Alder Rasmussen.
thank you. One of the observations we'd had historically with Wausau Whitewater is that often a lot of the participants camp. And, we
Correct.
had some concern about the room nights really being confined to spectators, but not necessarily participants. And so we always wondered really what room nights we really could expect from that event in the spirit of this particular award. Obviously, if the expenses only add up to $9,650, I don't want to fund it beyond, we're certainly not going to fund it at maximum just because that's the maximum. If the actual cost adds up to $9,650, that should be the top. For
Okay.
that.
Yeah, and I think as far as the camping goes and where we've gotten our numbers for the hotel, I mean, admittedly, overall, it's low. It's, 15% at best of our folks. And we've asked, we've gone through SurveyMonkey trying to get people. A lot of it's mostly when folks bring their families, so they're participating in the event, but their families are coming with them to watch them or just hang out in Wausau in general. That's where a majority of our hotel stays come from. And it happens a bit, and it'd be a lie to try to say, hey, 50% of our folks do it, because it's really not the truth. I mean, it's not really that culture that they have with that group. I think Wausau Whitewater had traditionally been on the list, for many years. I think since I've started in 2011, so this has always been an ongoing ask for the most part. And what has, it used to be more for operational costs. And then maybe 5 years ago or something, it started getting more into the marketing side. And I feel like we know our audience pretty well, whitewater paddlers. To try to get them, it's always trying to get the new people. And, that new people in whitewater, it's not, it doesn't grow. It's not mountain biking. It's not a beer festival where a vast majority of people are interested with kayaking. It's the 1% of the people who kayak that actually will try the whitewater side. So I think it's just trying to reach and figure out, how do we get this. Last 2 weeks ago, we went to Madison for a Canoecopia event, and I'm not sure what the total numbers were this year. Usually there's between 30 and 40,000 people that that come through that show, and we kind of situate ourselves right at the beginning. So if somebody wants to hear about it, wants to hear about Wausau, I mean, that's kind of our gig. And you know, I think it's just really tough for us to find out what the actual follow through is from some of this stuff.
Mr. Schultz, I mean, did I pronounce your name correctly?
Yeah.
Okay. This kind of comes up a lot in conversations related to marketing vis-a-vis social media versus websites, if you will, sir. And I've always maintained that a website is not the most effective marketing tool because it doesn't really outreach so much as sit there and wait to be reached. It's not a proactive and outgoing thing. Sure, you can say everybody needs a website, and I don't debate that you need a website it's kind of like your library, your archive, your place to tell the big story, or for people to, you know, when they finally have been attracted to go there and, I don't know, look at your photos or learn more or apply to participate or whatever. But from a marketing standpoint, to me, marketing is always outreach. It's always active. It's doing something to approach people directly. So it concerned me seeing that large of the request being, you know, for the website rather than for activities beyond the website. Building the website, I almost feel like right now I would do the least that you can get away with on your website and take, you know, monies out of that and go towards what can you do. I mean, like the Canoecopia group. Do they have a mailing list that you can acquire, an email list? Do they have, you know, do they sell ads on their social media or that you can get in there to, you know, buy into? Different avenues where your message can go out and capture people that are your effective audience, you know. That's what I'm really looking for, and it makes me feel a little off that we would be paying for just the building of a website. I can always say, sure, in the long run, a website is a marketing tool. But I just don't buy that it's an effective one, per se.
I think what makes
at
least ours effective is just the registration component to it for our lessons, for our events. I think without that, and that's what we're really trying to upgrade to get to, get so that becomes something a user can easily click on, and it becomes, you know, in order per se. They go to it. If they go to it and it doesn't work, you know, are they going to try it a second time? Are they going to try it a third time? Are they just going to give up on it if you don't reply to an email immediately? So I think that, you know, from how we're looking at it is, you know, we're kind of losing folks every time our website doesn't work. And now that's, I guess, what that's what our biggest concern is with our website. I mean, it's a freebie that was just trying to, now we're just trying to make it so we don't get those phone calls to say, hey, it didn't work. Because I feel like for every phone call that you get that says it didn't work, maybe how many actually just had given up on it.
Okay, thank you. I have a comment from Alder Rasmussen and then a hand up from a guest.
Thank you. And so the comments from Mr. Schultz are helpful, just because this is exactly what you guys were talking about with events that either need to find a way to expand or grow or expand their outreach, both for spectators and participants, to get people coming to Wausau. And so when we have an event requesting funding where the hotel piece is 15% of the total, that is borderline that it doesn't even qualify anymore, because the state changed the rules so that, you know, like he said, this was more used for overhead until 5 years ago. Well, it was a little longer than that, but the rules changed, and all of a sudden it became about marketing and outreach, which is what it should have been all along. And so, you know, just to continue to apply for funding just because we've always applied for funding or because that fund source has always been there, at some point with stuff like this, that's going to need to stop. And the idea of weaning off so that some of these funds can be repurposed to attract new and different events that perhaps have that higher tourism component, that really is what we need to focus on. So, you know, if this entire 9650 is going to go to just build a website and no other outreach, I guess I'm skeptical on the success. You know, I certainly wouldn't fund it for beyond that, but should we be funding it for less?
The request for website is 3,500.
Okay, yep,
Yeah.
okay.
And, you know, I'll just state again that, you know, one could take a stretch and say the website is a legitimate marketing tool. Everything that they put out there will have the website on the bottom, so it's a call to action to come back. I just don't think it's the most effective use of your funds if you really want to be marketing per se. Sir, do you want to come up and make your comment?
Yes.
And just give us your name, please.
Yes, Tim White, Executive Director for the Wausau, Central Wisconsin Convention and Visitors Bureau, also known as the Wausau CVB. I would like to speak in favor of backing Wausau Whitewater and Brian's request for a number of reasons. One is it is a gemstone that is not, you don't see a lot of these facilities around the country. And so in our future marketing, near future marketing efforts, where we are going to be marketing in the region and nationally and internationally, we will highlight this. Yes, even though 1% maybe uses it, lots of people go and see it. And so the fact that, you know, all boats rise with the tide, right? If the municipality of Wausau can be a part of helping to make the Wausau Whitewater organization the best that it can be, it's already put in a great amount of resources this last year to make their course better. But it's also in our marketing plans as we showcase that Wausau is a place for outdoor adventure. And again, when you're marketing to people, there's the perception equals reality, right? The perception that we have a world-class whitewater course right in town doesn't necessarily mean that people are going to use it, but it's like, wow, I can't believe this. What kind of a cool city is this? And so we're going to market them as well. And so when people go to the Wausau Whitewater webpage, we'd like them and any other partner to have a good website, because we are doing the external marketing. We are doing the expenditures out there. So I back it 100%. I guarantee you that we will really, really help them, you know, do what you were talking about, Tom, with you know, marketing to the outside, just to show them. Again, Wausau is kind of a base camp for adventure, right? We'll even market, you know, Peshtigo and the Wolf Rivers, but you're going to stay here. So, so that's just my support.
Thank you. You know,
For me?
appreciate it.
Yeah.
May I? And then,
Well, you can make your comment and then
all
I'll.
right. Well, thank you.
Yeah, that's fine. I just wanted to get your.
I didn't see you over there, you know, lurking. You know, those that have been on the commission here with me over, I don't know, how many years has it been now? I don't know, 6? I'm not quite sure. You might recall, I think it was probably the very first meeting that I attended with the commission. I made a comment that's still pretty much heartfelt. You know, my career had been in marketing and as a brand guru. That was my thing. And I said at that time, pretty much, I'll paraphrase, that an important and too often overlooked element of marketing is your brand. And building that brand and communicating that brand, because you have to stand for something. Something has to pop into people's mind when they hear your name or see your name. And that's why even at that point, we were talking about heads and beds, and I kept saying, yeah, that's great, but I also want to, you know, create awareness that is long-lasting and it helps build a fascination and a propensity to visit. Maybe not right now, this weekend or next month, but eventually, because, wow, they have, you know, I was told when I first inquired here about my job here, I got on the phone with my soon-to-be boss, and he was just saying, yeah, it's a really cool town. You know, there's like a whitewater course right through downtown. And I was like, what? You know, and that struck with me, you know, forever. It's that kind of, you know, branding that is an element of communication that you have to nurture. So I just didn't want to leave that out there. Alder Martins.
Yeah, and I think your comment is a perfect, just a perfect segue into what I was going to say, because I was going to take the opposite opinion, that I believe websites really are an effective marketing tool, because a website it's your home base. It's the place where you can build your brand and put your message forth. Other types of advertising, social media is fleeting, it's transitory. I mean, you're lucky, if you're on a social channel, you're lucky if you catch the post, unless you start pumping money into it to get that thing, back in front of eyeballs. With the website, it's there 24/7. It's building your brand. It's the place that you send everybody back to, so that they can get a deeper understanding of what your event is about, what your purpose is, and registration. We're looking for, we want to capture hearts and minds, but we want to capture people, in various aspects, of if they're going to spend the night as a spectator, are they going to participate or whatnot. And that's the perfect vehicle in order to do that, if they've got a registration system that works. So I'm of an agreement that, I think that, if I know Wausau Whitewater has been struggling in order to, for growth. And I think this is an opportunity in order to get some legs behind their marketing plan, in order to strengthen up that one aspect, that leg of an overall kind of marketing goal.
Thank you. I completely agree that a website is a must and it's a vital part. But to me, I kind of think of, the field of dreams. If you build it, they will come. Well, the only people that came were ghosts, because, nobody else was aware of it. You have to drive traffic to your website, and that's the point that I'm trying to make, is a website, nobody knows about it. They have to be sent to it, and you got to send them there somehow. That's the marketing aspect, the outreach, that makes then the website an effective tool. So,
And that's the purpose of your social media, like the three legs of a stool,
Yeah.
Print, social, and website, and everything got you got to funnel it somewhere. So the website is the place to go.
Alder
Thank you.
Rasmussen.
Yep, I'm going to amend my motion because Tim White talked me into this. I think we should move forward with the Whitewater request at $96.50. So I'll amend my motion then to fund all of the requests as requested, with the changes that beer and bacon would be funded at $7,500 and that Whitewater would be funded at $96.50.
Okay.
Can I make one last comment on that?
Sure.
Mr. Scholes, I would say that the color that we've been able to get through dialogue and discussion has definitely helped. And again, I think we take these opportunities to educate, but holistically speaking, this is where the importance of a detailed marketing plan comes into the submission. And that would provide color around how you're looking to use this, and maybe turn it from less of a plot and into a piece of infrastructure for future growth. So I guess that would be my encouragement to you. I know that you're a past president, put a lot of time and effort in there, and maybe in the future that this isn't going to be the form in which that you're going to be able to receive funding, and we'll have to find and tap into some other resources, which it sounds like you have through the CVB and other community pieces to get on a track of getting it to move forward. But that's my only statement on that. And yeah, that's it.
I envision in the future this commission seeing a much more competitive evenings than this, with more and more people coming forward. And that's where this kind of, education, as you're mentioning, is really important. If you're going to pitch an account somewhere as an ad executive, let's say, you don't go in and say, I'm going to spend $7,500 on a billboard. You go in and say, I'm going to spend $7,500 on this billboard. And look at how exciting it is. And that's how, you can maybe get that thing tilted in your direction. So a marketing plan, and perhaps with some, creative, juice injected into it too, can make the difference in the future in a competitive environment, which I hope this will become in time.
For sure.
Anything else? I did have a motion. Is there a second from the commission? I have a second from
I'll
Martin's.
second the motion, and I'll just agree, yeah, I think we need to see a marketing plan from the Wausau Whitewater in order to really put these funds to their best use.
Okay. All right. Anything further? Seeing none. All in favor of the amended request, please say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. Well, let me go way back to page number 1. Item number 4, discussion and possible action regarding next grant application period.
So at the last meeting, we had talked about adding, right now, the due dates are February, the end of February and the end of August. And we talked about adding an additional date for considering applications. And in thinking about it, we, in my mind, doing one like mid-May to be able to attend to any late comers as far as, some last-minute events that might be helpful. I had intended to go out and see what other communities and organizations were doing, but I didn't have time. And I do think, coming out of COVID, there could be some people who are interested in starting new events, and this would give us an opportunity. We could do a pilot this year, see if no one applies, we wouldn't have a meeting, obviously.
Sometimes, especially when you're a new entity, new event, you want to show that you've got partnership already established
Right.
somewhere, and that'll help you, get more people in the door. Hey, I'm working with the city, they believe in me, and so I hope you will too. That can help a lot of, newcomers on the scene. Alder Rasmussen?
Would it be appropriate then for us to release a cycle of applications, like the first week of May, leave it open for a few weeks, and then, make some subsequent awards in June? That way we could pick up the end of the summer and the fall if there's any we missed?
Sure, why not? It's up
Okay.
to you.
I don't think we have to necessarily vote on that. I think we could agree by consensus on the timeframe, but
Sure.
it just seems like if we would run maybe a 3-week application window, pull it all together, and then, if we would meet early June, we'd be early enough in the event season for summer that we could pick up the stuff at the end of the summer and still in the fall too.
Yep. Sure, go ahead, Commissioner.
From an application process, do we need to have open application time, or do we need, could we take applications ongoing?
Yeah.
For funding cycle, is that an option? Where you don't have
Yeah.
to try to hit that 3-week?
We do, we do have people kind of apply, early, and then we just hold them. So
Okay.
we could definitely do a couple of, my brain is fried today, I'm sorry. Like news announcements or whatever, that we are accepting applications, right, like in April, early May, to give people notice that we're doing that. And we actually did just implement online applications. We were using like Word documents. Now it's kind of a online form, so that'll work good, too.
Perfect.
With regards to the additional application period, is it kind of a moot point at this point? Because, we're going to have a new commission
Yeah.
after the election, and perhaps it might be up to them to decide what their, next application period could be. You could still have the ongoing receiving applications, but the new commission might say, no, we don't want to look at that until June, or we don't want to look into it in July, or whatever they vote on, so.
Am I reading this correctly? We have a little over $200,000?
Yeah.
Not that you just want to burn up the funds, but we're talking about perishable inventory and opportunity. I might recommend that we still set the next funding cycle here, and then maybe we set a time that we'll convene as a commission to educate the new commission on the process, so then we can focus more on the funding piece.
I'd be glad to help. Okay. Settled? All right. Next item is adjournment. I would take a motion.
I'll make that motion to
All
adjourn.
right, and a second. All in favor? Goodbye.